as we keep saying, he's the MVP right now, and oh boy, does he look good.
This is their chance. Say, you know what, we're a true contender, and I haven't really seen it thus far.
Yeah, I'm all out on the Eagles.
Everyone was like going ooh and ahhing at it.
It's bad football. I'm done. Hello and welcome to Ain't That Our Ball. I'm David Scott. Alongside me is NFL expert Ryan Sanudo. Ryan, how are we doing this week?
Yeah, very good. We have a lot of great matchups to talk about.
Yeah, a couple good ones this week, but let's start with the Buffalo Bills versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Two teams that are scuffling a little bit, not quite there, a couple recent losses, but I think they're both going to be all right for the playoffs. Let's start with the Bills on this side. Josh Allen, the always MVP candidate. What's he going to do in this matchup?
So it's going to be very interesting, this game. Both teams are 6-3. Josh Allen had a hideous interception against Miami. You're a Dolphins fan, so you saw that.
I saw it.
You saw it, but otherwise he's been pretty good. But I feel like he could do a little bit better. You know, obviously the MVP player that he was last year. Everyone's so banged up on the Bills, you know. They have 13 players on the injury report, so they're banged up, but the same thing goes for Tampa Bay. They're banged up as well. But I expect Josh Allen to be good. I expect him to run the football when he has to, because let's be honest, that, you know, those pass catchers really have nothing. They're really not impressive. Keon Coleman has been pretty so-so. Kincaid might be out this week, so I expect Josh Allen to use his legs and also use the run game with James Cook. So I expect some play action and Josh Allen finding, you know, easy targets, short passes. I expect Allen to be good in this game.
Yeah, you definitely need to switch things up if you're coming off a loss to the Miami Dolphins, because we know that they're not a team that you should be losing to if you have Super Bowl aspirations. But yeah, it was an ugly game all around, and I think Allen is going to learn from that and clean it up, because I don't think the Buccaneers have the greatest defense in the world. They're certainly a solid unit, but they're not among the elite ones in the NFL. So Allen should have an okay time running the ball. I think they have a decent pass rush, but I think he'll be fine scrambling around. And yeah, the pass catchers are banged up, but that Buccaneers secondary is definitely vulnerable. And if Allen wants to get a couple deep shots in there, I think he can. But I think the Buccaneers might have a bit of a fun time in this one. The Dolphins just put up 30 on the Bills. So if they can do that, I feel like Baker Mayfield could have a good time.
Yeah, the Bills' defense is good against the pass, but the run, they've struggled. And you saw HN, you know, just go crazy on that Bills defense. So Bucky Irving actually might be back this weekend. So if he comes back, then that really helps the offense. And obviously, you know, White has been good. Even Sean Tucker in the backfield has been stepping up. So they have guys on that offense, Cade Otton, Igbuka. So Tampa Bay, I think it should be a very close game. I think it could be back and forth. But I give the edge, a slight edge to Buffalo. I just feel like at home, I trust them more. And plus, for some, like since 2020, they're 17-6 coming after a loss. So I feel like they always bounce back after a loss. And they've been good, obviously, under Josh Allen. But the thing with Josh Allen is he just can't get sacked. I feel like this is one of the worst years when it comes to getting sacked. So if they apply pressure to him and he gets sacked, I feel like Tampa could win this game. But I give the edge to Buffalo at home. And I'm hearing it's going to be 40-something degrees, 15 to 20 miles per hour. So if you're a betting man, I wouldn't go over on this game. It might be like 20-something, 20-something. But I expect Buffalo to pull this thing out.
Now, both of these teams have pretty decent playoff hopes. But do you think a loss for either one of these teams here is kind of damning? Not for the sense that they won't make the playoffs, but for the sense that maybe they're not the true contenders that we thought they were?
That's a good question. I think Buffalo. Buffalo, you saw that win against Kansas City. Once that happened, everyone was like going ooh and ahhing at it. But then they lose brutal games, you know, to the Miami Dolphins, the Atlanta Falcons. They've been very inconsistent this year. And Tampa Bay, like, they've been good, 6-3 as well. But in that division, I feel like they'll be fine. They'll win the division. I feel like they sometimes get bounced, you know, first game or the second game. But Buffalo, in that conference, there's really no one other than maybe the Colts that are, you know, standing out. And Buffalo, this is their chance to, you know, say, you know what, we're a true contender. And I haven't really seen it thus far. But they have to prove this week to win this game against Tampa Bay.
Let's move on to a matchup between two top NFC contenders. We're looking at the Philadelphia Eagles and the Detroit Lions. Two offenses that are pretty high-powered. Well, the Eagles haven't been showing that, at least last week. It didn't look that good. But the Lions, boy, they have been a lot of fun to watch. I think this is going to be the toughest test for the Eagles so far this season.
It was a terrible game, that Packers-Eagles
game.
So bad. Sirianni got lucky at the end, going for it on fourth down. I feel like they haven't been opportunistic when they have to. I feel like they pull away. They somehow win these games, but they've been ugly games. The only really good win was against Minnesota, probably, but Minnesota really isn't that great either. So Philly, I've been a little bit frustrated with them. I feel like a couple weeks before the bye, their offense started to click, and then last week against Green Bay, they struggled mightily. Against Detroit has obviously Aiden Hutchinson. They have guys that are good on that defense. So I feel like it's going to be very close in this game. But for Philly, I feel like some of these guys just aren't on the same page with Hurts. A.J. Brown continues to not get the targets. Saquon has been struggling to get those big plays. So I feel like Goddard has been that guy, Devonta Smith. But, man, Brown, Barkley, they have to step up. And really, it's not his fault. I think it's the offense as a whole. And I'm putting a lot of blame on Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, I'm all out on the Eagles. I'm done. I don't want to watch another Eagles game.
It's just not fun to watch them.
It's such terrible football. It's just not fun for a fan of the NFL. If you're an Eagles fan, I'm sure you're defending it to your last breath. But Lordy, it's just ugly football. And we saw that in full display in the Packers game. It was just bad offense, false starts on tush pushes. But we don't got to get into the semantics of that. But the offense is not on the same page anywhere, and that defense is still an elite unit, and that's what's keeping them in games. But coming up against a high-powered offense like the Lions, you could see things start to shift out of their favor because the running duo that the Lions have, their receiving core, it's a spectacular offense and a pretty solid defense, which I think could give the Eagles some trouble. And also, I just don't like the Eagles. So,
I don't think you like the Eagles.
it's bad football, and there's things going behind the scenes there. I mean, A.J. Brown just told fantasy owners to drop him. So,
if you got me on fantasy, man, get rid of me.
There's a lot going on. It's something I don't want any part of. I'm all in on the Lions in this one.
So for this game, I'm with you. I like the Lions in this game. It's a tough game. Obviously, they're on the road. I like Detroit now because Dan Campbell has been calling the plays. I feel like John Warren struggled at times. You were saying it last week. Jamison Williams has to, be part of this offense. And what did we see against Washington? 6 receptions, 100-plus receiving yards, a touchdown. So everyone's getting the rock now. Everyone's getting the ball. And they look great against Washington. Sure, Washington's defense isn't that good. But they were I think they were running a lot of, play action, 50+% when it came to that. They were using motion. So I'm really liking the offense now with Dan Campbell calling the plays. I really like Detroit in this game. I feel like we're going to see a similar performance when they play the Ravens early this year. Maybe it's not going to be like a shootout like 38-35 like in that game, but I just think they're going to surprise, that Eagles defense with play action.
All right, well, we'll look at that closely when it gets there, but let's go over to, we've talked about him a lot lately, Matthew Stafford and the Rams going up against the Seattle Seahawks. This is, I think, just a spectacular matchup. Two teams that are battling for first place in their division, two really good offenses, two great quarterbacks, two really solid defenses. You could go down the list on these teams. Just everything is going right for them. Let's start with Matthew Stafford. We'll keep it brief on him because I feel like our last 10 episodes
I
have been
think viewers hate us for our love for
about
him.
Matthew Stafford. But as we keep saying, he's the MVP right now, and oh boy, does he look good.
Yeah, the stats don't lie. I mean, we're here to tell you. We don't have to tell you that he's been really good. I mean, his touchdown to pick rate has been phenomenal. He doesn't take sacks. He's always in rhythm with his receivers, Puka, Devontae. Hopefully he can play. I think he's going to play Devontae Adams. But Stafford, he's the MVP right now. It's without a doubt. He's just been so amazing in that offense. Kyron Williams, they're all in sync. Sean McVay, it's just almost flawless in that offense. So I feel like it's going to be very tough for Seattle. They do have a good defense, and they are really good on the road. They're 4-0 on the road, but I think this is going to be close. But LA, I feel like I trust the Rams. That I feel like it was so long ago when they lost to the 49ers. I feel like they learned from that, and they've been winning ever since. Even the Puka injury, that actually did, in a way, make them realize, you know what, we can use our tight ends a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And now that Puka's back, you're seeing 3 tight ends on the same, in same place. So I think everything's been great for them. It's all about everyone stay healthy. Stay healthy for the playoffs, and everything should be fine for the Rams.
Yeah, like you said with the tight ends, Stafford, after the win last week, was talking about how much they switch between 11, 12, 13-man personnel. So they've got a lot of interesting stuff going on there, and that's a testament to Sean McVay and his offensive genius. But on the Seahawks side of the ball, I think a lot of this really comes down to Jackson Smith-Njigba. He's already over 1,000 yards on the season, and he is just barely off pace for a 2,000-yard season. He's 110 yards per game, absolutely nuclear this year. He is the focal point of their offense, and sure, Sam Darnold has been stellar in his resurgence, but boy, Jackson Smith-Njigba is wide receiver 1 in the league right now.
JSN is must-see TV right now. If you haven't been watching him, go watch him because it's just, I feel like there should be more primetime games with Seattle, and they're probably going to do that next year. I feel like JSN is arguably a top 2 receiver, top 3 receiver in the league. Just yards after the catch. I feel like the move from the slot to the outside, he's been more outside this year. I think that's been so great for them. Getting rid of Metcalf, I feel like that was holding him back a little bit. Now he's the wide receiver 1, and you add Cooper Kupp, and you have the tight ends too, and the running. So it's just a complete offense. Sam Darnold's been amazing. I can't wait to watch it. I wish it was Sunday Night Football, honestly, but this is going to be a very good game.
I think this has the potential to be like a shootout of shootouts.
Yeah.
Like they're 2 solid defenses, but these divisional matchups, they can just turn into brawls, and I think it's just going to be blow back and forth. Stafford touchdown, Darnold touchdown, and Kyren Williams, it's just going to go back and forth. Like, I could see both teams being in the 30s. I think it's going to be so much fun to watch.
I trust Stafford more than Sam Darnold. I mean, you can't go wrong with Stafford. He's going to eventually get that MVP if he stays healthy, so I give the edge to the Rams.
Yeah, he's got a couple less interceptions than them. So we're both going with the Rams here, and let's touch real quick before we wrap up about the Kansas City Chiefs versus Denver Broncos matchup. This is a very important one for the Chiefs. They lose this game, they're 5-5. The Broncos win this game, they got a pretty clear path to winning that division. What's going wrong for the Chiefs? What's going right for the Broncos?
So let's get to the Chiefs first. I feel like what's going wrong is I feel like, they didn't win the Super Bowl, but it was kind of like a Super Bowl hangover. They were sleepwalking early on in the season. Then they had a couple good wins, but I feel like the Buffalo game, it just from start to finish, it was just ugly. The offense, it takes a little bit while for Rashee Rice to really, he's a really good talent, but then everything else has been a little bit, sketchy. So I feel like it's been inconsistency on the offense. Patrick Mahomes, I think, has been really good, but I think just at times they're just not being opportunistic, and the running game has struggled too. So the Chiefs, I haven't really liked the offense. Defense has been fine. They're close to top 10 in the league. And then for the Broncos, they've been really good. I mean, the defense is one of the best in the league. So I feel like that's the reason why they're 8-2 right now. The offense has been very inconsistent. Bo Nix has struggled a good amount this year. I feel like they're 8-2 because of that defense. Surtain, the pass rush, Zach Allen, the list goes on. So I feel like the Broncos, their offense will struggle, but the defense will always pick them up. So Denver, I really love that defense.
Yeah, I think this is an important game for Denver just for the fact of cementing themselves as contenders. A lot of people look at that team as if they're not legit, as if they're a pretender right now because of how good that defense is and how bad that offense is. You pick up a win here against the Chiefs, regardless of what version of the Chiefs it is right now, that really, I think, calms some nerves, gives your team some confidence, saying, hey, we beat last year's division winner, we beat the 2-time defending champions. They're not defending champions this year, but a win over the Chiefs does a lot for you. And I think if they pick this up, they move to 9-2, they're nearly a lock for the playoffs at that point. It would mean a lot for them. I think this means more for the Broncos than the Chiefs, honestly. At 5-5, the Chiefs will still have a way into the playoffs. I think the Broncos, they pick up some confidence that rolls them through to winning the division and then into a possible playoff win.
I feel like I've been agreeing with you for the most part in this show. I feel like we mostly do that, but I'm going to disagree with you. I think this is such a massive game for the Chiefs. They're 5-4 right now, and if they lose this game, they're going to be 5-5. I mean, that's just going to be ugly for Andy Reid and company. And historically, they're one of the best. They're always good after the bye, and they find ways to win in Denver. So I just think this is such a huge game for Kansas City compared to Denver. Look, they're 8-2 right now. They can afford a loss right now. I bet they still have a couple games that they can win and get maybe 11 wins, maybe 12, probably 11. But I think the Chiefs, this is such a massive game, and I think they're going to wake up in this game. I think the offense will click, and defensively, I think they're good. I love Spagnuolo. So Bo Nix has been struggling offensively against the Raiders. That just was such an ugly performance for Bo Nix, for a lot of those guys on offense. So I give it to the Chiefs. I think they'll find a way in this game. Denver, I just need to see more, and I really haven't been seeing it recently, and it starts with that offense.
Well, we'll see if that offense shows it to you this weekend.
Yeah.
That's going to do it for this week's episode of Ain't That Our Ball. You can catch us every Thursday, and every Monday you can watch our tactics show, X's and O's. Please leave a like and subscribe, and let us know if you think the Broncos are going to sink the Chiefs this weekend.